Guys, so today we are going to talk about cache components in Next.js 16. So, cache components lets you mix static, cached and dynamic content in a single route, giving you the speed of static side with the flexibility of dynamic rendering. Server-rendered application typically force a choice between static pages and dynamic pages. Cache components eliminates these trade-offs by pre-rendering routes into a static HTML shell that is immediately sent to the browser, with dynamic content updating the UI as it becomes ready. So as you see below, this here is a static content. This is pre-rendered. This is something that we see immediately. So when we request this page, we will see a static HTML shell, and these blue sections here are dynamic content. So this will typically be wrapped in the suspense boundary. While the data is fetching, we will see fallback UI like skeleton, or for example loading spinner, and when the data is ready, the data will be displayed here. So how rendering works with cache components? At the build time, Next.js renders your routes components tree. As long as components don't access network resources, certain system APIs, or require an incoming request to render, their output is automatically added to the static shell. So it will be displayed immediately. Otherwise, you must choose how to handle that. So there are two options. Like I say, we have suspense. For example, if we have some child component, for example, items, where we are fetching some data and we are importing this into a parent component, if we don't wrap this into suspense, then we are going to see this error here, uncached data was accessed outside suspense error. Also, the second option is to make this cached to cache this component, or for example, if we are fetching from a server function, we can also cache this response in the function level scope. So if we don't do either of these two options, we are going to see this error. So for example, if I'm just fetching data and importing this child component, like I said, items, into a parent component, and I don't cache this component or a function, or I don't wrap it into a suspense, we are going to see this error. So when we enable the cache components in Next.js config, every route by default is dynamic. So previously, if you would go to some route, you would get a response. You would see that response is cached. For example, if I would go back and come back again, we will access that page like immediately, because it's cached. Right now, if we go back, come again, this would be fetched on every request. So every page would be dynamic by default, unless we cache this data. So we are in control what is being cached, and what is being cached for how long, and we are choosing, we are going to cache on the function level, or the whole component, or the whole file, or the whole page. So we are going to talk about this in the upcoming video. So also I just want to talk about this dynamic data and runtime data, a specific type of dynamic data that requires request context only available when a user makes a request. So these are cookies, headers, search params, and params. And good to know is runtime data cannot be cached with use cache. So because it requires request context. So for example, if I'm trying in some component to access cookies, and I add this use cache directive in that component, I will get an error, because I cannot access cookies and search params and headers. But however, you can extract values from runtime data and pass them as arguments to cache function. So we do this in a parent component, and pass in a cached component or cached function. However, there is also option here. We are going to talk about this in the upcoming videos. So we have this use cache directive, but also there is use cache remote that allows platforms to provide a dedicated cache handler. These are allowing us to use connection inside a cached component or cached function. So connection is useful when component doesn't use dynamic APIs like cookies, headers, search params, but you want it to be dynamically rendered at the runtime and not statically rendered at the build time. So we can actually use this use cache remote with that. And also, so like I said, we are going to talk about that in upcoming video. And also we have use cache private, which allows us to actually access cookies. So this is good in combination with prefetching. So yeah, so these are some workaround where we can like use cache with some dynamic data. So there are these two additional profiles. I have two examples about this, and once again we are going to talk about this in a upcoming video. So quickly about the project. So here we have like this on home page, we have this normal static page, nothing special here. And we go to this example page. So here we have like three sections, actually four sections. First section is we are fetching the data from the JSON placeholder API. I called this component and this function that is fetching this data, I call them cached items, because I'm caching this on the function level scope. So we are already cached on the function level scope, and then we are importing in the component. This here is fetching data from the server action, and this is cached on the component level scope in the items component. And here we have recommendation like a section. So here we are displaying the items based on the user preference, which is stored in the cookies. So here we are actually using this use cache private, where we are accessing the cookie value, and based on that we are passing to another service that is checking for user preference in items and showing us this data. So this is working well with prefetching. So here if I click this explore demo video, so this is actually prefetching. Like I said, we are going to talk about this. And also we have these cache control buttons. So first of all, this is set to a profile Bob, which have preference of outdoors. When we click update cookie, we have another user which is called Alice. Her preference is food. When we click this would update and show food. We have update cache. Here we are updating these items. We are using this new update tag, which is introduced in Next.js 16. Update cache 2, we are updating this cache. So we are invalidating on demand. We are validating this data here. So this cached function. Then we have revalidate cache. So we are using revalidate tag. This was introduced in earlier versions. We have revalidate path. This was also something that was introduced in earlier versions. We are going to invalidate the whole path. And we have restore, where we can restore to the previous state everything. Also we can delete this. And also we have view details. On the view details, we are going to the item page, where we see details about this specific item, but also we are seeing a recommendation section. So first of all, let's just go, for example, here, since this profile is displaying preference, this user have a preference of outdoors activities. If we go to this mountain adventure, which have a preference and of outdoors, then when I go here, I will see recommendation for you only outdoor activities. So here also I'm using use cache private. I am reading the user's cookie, and I am displaying a recommendation based of the item category. So if the category is the same as user preference, then we are going to display only recommended items from that category. If, for example, I go to another category, for example, this user have outdoors, but I go to the item that have category food, then we will see two items from food category and 2 from outdoors category. So yeah, so this is so in this service, which is like a get recommendation based on category, we are checking the user preference and item category, and based on that, so we are showing 2 from user preference and 2 from actually item category that we are currently on. If we delete this cookie, then we will see some random 4 items. Beside this, there is also like remote. So here it is. So this is like I said. So we are going to use cache remote, where we are going to read the data, even though we put a connection in that component. And we also have about. So about page is basically we are showing these items from server function, and we also once again show these cache control buttons. And this is going to be like a playground that we are going to talk in next video. So we are going to do here like component level cache, function level cache, route level cache, and file level cache. And that would be, I think, that. So yeah, in the next video we are going to enable cache components and talk about use cache, and like you see here, file level, component level, function level. There is also page level. So yeah, see you in the next one.